Imagine going to a lifeguard for swimming lessons, and the first thing he tells you is, in over 40 years, I've never seen anyone learn how to swim. Most people just sink. But don't worry, I'll be right here to hand you a floaty so you can keep your head barely above water for as long as possible. Ridiculous, right? You'd question why someone like that was even teaching swimming in the first place.
Hey, and welcome back to the Limitless Health podcast. And if you are wondering what the heck are we talking about,
So, this story about the lifeguard was just an example to share with you because this is exactly what a woman shared with me. I was on a discovery call a couple of days ago, and she was telling me how she was referred to an MS nurse. And this MS nurse told her, in my 40 years in practice, I've never seen anyone get better in my care. I was blown away by this statement. I tried to
Mhm.
keep a straight face, but I didn't even know how to respond. But the truth is, staying afloat isn't the same as learning how to swim, and just managing symptoms isn't the same as getting healthy either. There's so much more you can do to actually address the root causes that will make a difference in your health. But just focusing on symptoms is like standing there and holding a floaty and wanting to hand that to someone if they're sinking,
Yeah,
right?
it's a remarkable story to hear and just think going into it as someone who has that, like if when you were still dealing with that years ago, when you
Mhm.
first went in and you heard that, like how would you respond to that?
If I heard that the nurse, that's a tough one because I mean, I never questioned my doctor and no one ever said to me like I've never seen anyone get better, but then when I started to say like, "Oh, I'm doing different things." Like I do remember telling my neurologist that nutrition had made a difference for me and he was like, "Oh, no. I don't know anything about that. That's not
Mhm.
going to do anything. You just need to keep taking the medication." And from a doctor perspective, it's not their fault. It's not saying that they're bad people. It's just
Mhm.
the point of wanting to share this with people is to hopefully change perspective for you that the doctor's there to hold the floaty in case you need it, but not to actually help you learn how to swim, help you learn how to get healthy. And so if you are looking for that, there are other resources and there are other options for you, but you just need to realize a little bit about what medicine is designed for.
Yeah.
And it's not aiming to get people healthy.
This makes me think of I've heard it's not necessarily Einstein, but it usually is quoted as him. Like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and that's the definition of insanity.
Expecting a
And
different result.
you're expecting a different result. And this doctor has been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years and no one's left healthy. The data that you have within that time frame is
I
remarkable.
thought the swimming metaphor was great because it's like I wanted to paint a picture that's really easy to look at it and be like, that's ridiculous. This isn't really different. It's just something we're conditioned to do. And I was no different. I was raised in a family and brought up to believe that if there's something wrong with your health, your doctor is the solution. So I went to my doctor when MS was, or when I was having the symptoms that were then diagnosed as MS. And I thought, well, this is the way I'm going to fix this. And I remember hearing people kind of murmuring throughout the years, but it went in one ear and out the other. People saying nutrition, or there's other things that you can do. And I was like, no, 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 I've got this. I'm going to my doctor. But I want to help as many people as possible understand that, like, if it's not working, there's so much more you can do. And will there be effort involved? Yeah, there will.
Hmm.
Are you going to have to like look for different solutions, look for people, and that's kind of the biggest recommendation I try to say to people as well. Look for people who are already doing the things that you want to be doing that can model that for you,
Hmm.
right? In any context. If you're looking to learn how to do something, you're not going to look ask someone who doesn't know how to do that what they're doing. Look for someone that you can model,
Yeah.
right?
Someone who's, yeah, as you said, already doing that. And yeah, I'm still kind of blown away by the 40 years of
No.
practice, and the outcomes are not positive, or at least that's what I'm getting from what you've mentioned.
Hmm.
And I get the idea of just going along and doing the everyday things that you've always done, because I've been
Hmm.
there too, and you just, oh, this is just the way things are done, so this is what I'm going to do. And it's not until you perhaps hear a story like this, or often it seems to be someone close to you who has an experience, really
Hmm.
close to you. And then you end up questioning things more so because your beliefs are kind of in question. There's a doubt that's been
Yeah.
placed, and that kind of changes things and opens you up to the possibility of maybe my belief is wrong.
Hmm.
And that process can be a little maybe overwhelming or scary. And it takes some time to sometimes it can take some time to shift and find new beliefs. And
Yeah. And it can be uncomfortable too, right?
yeah,
Especially if there's it's a family belief or there's a lot of belonging in that because
mhm,
you're surrounded by people who think the same way and who are doing kind of the same things, and all of a sudden you're going against the grain. There can be judgment. I mean, COVID was a very good example of
yeah,
that in so many different ways, to just to show us that like you follow the herd
the line basically. Top
or
line. Yeah.
there's pushback. And it's like, but at what point do you have to say, you know what, I need to do what's best for me and for my
Hmm.
health?
Hmm.
And it's a choice that it's not an easy one. I know that from experience, right? I lost a lot of friends along the way because the person that you're becoming, you have to let go of some of the things that were habits and routines in the past.
Hmm.
And when I heard this story from this woman, like I feel for people when they're going through these things because especially if you're still in the belief of like the doctor's going to help me and then you hear something like that, it can be so disheartening because it's like maybe this just is what it is, and maybe I just
Yeah.
have to suffer and continue to live with this. But anything that you're dealing with, this is not at all just MS. Any health challenges that you're dealing with, anything that you're dealing with in your life, and we often look at things and think my circumstance is the reason why I have the outcome that I have, but it's like the thoughts, feelings, and actions need to change the circumstance
Hmm.
versus focusing on the outcome all the time and not making the changes that you need. But if you make the changes, a different outcome is possible,
Mm.
right?
Well, especially if that doubt sneaks in and you notice that
Hmm.
your beliefs maybe aren't what you thought they were, and your beliefs begin to shift,
Hmm.
everything else is going to follow. How you imagine your life will change. The actions you take, your how you hold yourself, everything is going to the experience of all those things. That's all going to change.
Yeah.
And yeah, just from one little encounter can have such a ripple effect on people.
Yeah, and from a like a frequency perspective as well, like a person that's in a state of illness or of not good health to a person who is choosing health and choosing to do whatever they need to do to get there, and what there's a very different vibration and frequency there. And so you start to change those beliefs and your frequency changes, and then you can work towards that place of better health, right? It's staying in the same place and just kind of I've been there. Like I totally get it if you're someone who's in that, and it's a part of the journey sometimes. And in the place where it's like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Well, what vibration is that carrying?
Hmm.
You're repeating the same thing over and over again because you're just accepting it rather than going, is this really all that's possible?
Yeah.
If there's, you can look around. I mean, that's one thing I'm grateful for. TikTok, I didn't want anything to do with TikTok at first, and I'm grateful now because I see so many stories of people who are succeeding in health and who are doing different things, and there's just so much more available to us now. Like I started my health journey in 2011. There was no TikTok, there was no Facebook yet. Maybe MySpace.
Or Facebook, but
There was Facebook in
yeah,
2011.
2008, I
Yeah,
think is about the time, or maybe a little earlier.
that was back in the days where we just did like you see it in your memories and it's just like one line and it's like, I
Yeah.
don't even know what this means.
No idea what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But there is more aware of awareness. There's more available to us now. In some ways, it can be overwhelming and it can be confusing, right?
Hmm.
Because there's so many things that conflict other things. But if you see people, I mean, I really believe in energy and vibration and frequency. I'm like very kinesthetic. And so I can feel a person's vibe and like, do I vibe with this? And if that's true, like reach out to a person. If you see someone who's got the results that you want, you reach out to them and they're not open and receptive to having a conversation with you, maybe that's not the right fit. But the
Mhm.
people that are looking to help people and are looking to share knowledge and help you improve your life will be more than willing to open up and have a conversation, right? I've had so many discovery calls with people who are just like, "Can we just talk through this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. If we end up working together, cool. If we don't, like, I'm
Mhm.
here to have that conversation and hopefully give you a bit of a fresh perspective on what's possible for you."
And that in itself is actually a big deal, just kind of holding that space and having that
Hmm.
conversation. Because dealing with a lot of these health issues, and especially if it's family involved too, there can be emotions tied in. Maybe
Hmm.
there's guilt or shame, judgment around the choices you make, how you deal with your health. And
Yeah.
that's especially if you're doing it in a different context, like you're not going the traditional Western medicine current route right now. And
Hmm.
generally it comes from a place of good intention
Hmm.
when your family is concerned about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to go with your gut and what you feel is right for you, as hard as that could be at times. And this is where it's great to have someone like Kate to reach out to and have that conversation because one, you've been there
Hmm.
and you've gone through that, but you're just an unbiased participant in just listening to what's going on for them and giving them some resources to work with.
Yeah, which and the family thing, I had an interesting kind of thing to add to that as well. Like, yes, family, they're doing it out of concern and care for you, and they're modeling the beliefs that they have.
Yeah.
And so what they've conditioned, what they've believed their whole life is like medicine's the answer. And then there's also fear alongside it
Mhm.
too. Like, I've heard we had someone on the show months ago now, and she talked about how around a cancer diagnosis, she decided to go the natural route, and the doctors called her family
Mhm.
and instilled fear in them that if she doesn't go the medical route, like she could die. And this could be really a really serious effect to that. So just remember that your family, they do have your best interests at heart. If you're trying to do something different, it's all fear-based. And they do care about you, and it's just helping them kind of understand. I mean, I had pushback from family in the past when I decided to take myself off the MS meds. I'm like a completely oddball when it comes to nutrition. I was eating paleo when I first got to the point where I was like, I don't want the medication anymore. And then I've been eating carnivore we'll do an episode on carnivore coming up soon because we're almost at our 1 year
That's right.
anniversary this time on next Wednesday, I believe. This time around for our carnivore experience, we did it for a year and a half in the past. I've done keto, like I've done all kinds of different food interventions with stuff. And people, they aren't going to get it, but just because they don't get it doesn't mean that whatever you're doing is wrong.
Mhm.
It's just like kind of hold space for them and be like, this is what I'm going to do. And as they see the improvements happen in your health, they start to like, okay, tell me more about what
Mhm.
you're doing. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's actually great too for
Mhm.
to show other people what's possible.
Yeah.
Especially you said them having that fear because it's something new and something they don't know about, pardon me, is just it can be a part of the process. But again, you're a perfect example of showing what's possible by doing something different and outside of the box, if you will. And
Yeah.
yeah, just know there is hope. There's possible it's
Hmm.
possible for you to do the same thing. You just have to be ready to do it, be ready to put some work in, and be open to some of the resources available.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it work? Yes, it is work. I will tell you that. I'm not going to tell there's no magic pill. Like doing things the natural way, it is work, but it's so worth it in the long run when you start to feel better. And I mean, that was for me. I got to the point where I was like, I'm not taking the medication anymore. So I have to find something else. And that conviction for me was like, yes, the diet was hard at the beginning. It was early on, and so I cut out a lot of stuff and had to learn how to cook and still had a full-time job and all kinds of things. Like I wasn't sitting on my butt all day long. I still was living my life. And so yes, it was hard, but when I was like, oh, I don't want to do this today. I wanted to just pick up something easy. The back of my mind was like, well, you can quit and go back to the meds, or you can keep doing this. And I was like, nope, I am not doing that. So that kept me going, which was really helpful, but it's totally possible. So
Yes. Yeah. I
just
think
know
that's probably a good place to kind of wrap it up
that.
and let people know that it is possible. If you are ready to make changes, if you're at a point where you are tired, often as Kate says, tired of being tired,
Hmm.
and you want something different, why not now? It's 2025. Do you want another year to go by living in the same place that you are right
Yeah,
now? It's time to do something different.
it's
And if
true.
you're ready to do so, have a discovery call with Kate. It's free. What have you got to lose? It's free. Just we'll put that link in the show notes. Book that call, have the conversation. There's no pressure there. Just, feel each other out, see if it's a good fit, and go from there. Yeah,
Yeah.
anything else you want to add?
I was just going to say, if you're looking to learn how to swim, make sure the lifeguard that you're working with, what lifeguard is a lifeguard for 40 years? Amanda
That is my
brought this
question.
up before the episode, and I was
Mm,
like, that's a really good point. I was a
yeah.
lifeguard in like my teens and can't imagine. Anyways, just a little humor to end us with. But
Sidebar.
yeah, look for someone who's actually helping people get better.
Mhm,
So the nurse that says, it's been 40 years I've been in practice, I've never seen someone get better.
mhm,
It's time to look for someone else
mhm.
because there are people that are getting better. There are people that are helping people get better. And the possibility is it's there for you. So, yeah, grab the link in the show notes, or you can go to alignednaturalhealth.com as well. Book a free discovery call. Let's talk about how we can help you move towards feeling better, getting back the quality of life that you deserve naturally.
Wonderful. Thanks everyone for listening today. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful, and happy new year, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you on the next episode.